Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. If you haven't already, check out our most recent video where we did a leg day. It was basically just a raw workout, just all the sets, all the reps, just how I would train really outside of social media, off camera. And I really just want to give you guys kind of like an insider's look at how I train, really how I actually train when I'm not filming, when I don't have a camera on me or anything like that. So if you haven't seen that video already, make sure you check it out. It's a sick video. It's like 15 minutes long, and you guys yourselves can even try out the workout. But anyways, today's video is going to be something a little bit different. In this session, I was training with my friend Daniel, so I was kind of showing him the techniques. And because it is a complex muscle group and the exercises performed in the video are pretty complex, I had to go over the exercises a few times with Daniel, so I thought this was a perfect opportunity to do the same thing in this video. Tell you guys the techniques, the form, the reps, the sets, and everything. A full explanation of that just so you can try the workout out for yourself. Anyways, without any further ado, let's just get right into the video. I think we started with the lat pull down. So this was just to engage our lats and really focus on squeezing down. We weren't going heavy on this or anything. We were really just focusing on the contraction of our lats, and I can talk some more about technique and everything as we get through the video. Let's get into it. So one thing that I did notice Daniel did really well, like right off the bat, was he was always focusing on contractions and technique before like throwing the full stack on and trying to just pull as much weight as possible. First thing that I would say that you guys should focus on when doing a lat pull down is really squeezing down and keep your elbows tucked at the bottom of the motion. This is really what's going to build the lower lat. In some of these videos, you'll see that Daniel really does a good job at tucking all the way down and pulling and holding for a second at the bottom. I always recommend that you hold for 1 second at the bottom and 1 second at the top of the movement. One, to get the full stretch, but also to get the full contraction. This is really just a basic principle that's going to allow you to get a full contraction, full stretch, all that stuff, which is obviously necessary when you're trying to build a muscle. And since this is our first exercise, we really want to focus on getting the connection with our lats, and we don't want to just throw as much weight on there as possible. Now, this is Daniel's first time training back with me, so obviously it is a little bit more difficult because this is one of the most complex muscle groups and some of the hardest techniques that you have to learn when you're training. So I tried my best to teach him and go slowly through the motions. Obviously that meant us taking more rest, but overall he did a really good job at perfecting the form. Obviously there's still some things that we can work on and we can talk about in this video, but overall it was still really good, like considering he's only been working with me for like a week and a half or so, just training together.
Tristyn piece of shit Lee.
This guy said, so yesterday we were at the gym and I was putting the weights away after I used them, and he's like, why are you doing that? Why are you putting them away?
Yeah, what if someone else wants to use them? Then they have to take them off the rack again.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody wants to use like 10 plates on a leg press.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Maybe you.
Obviously, that.
Change the channel name to Daniel Robertson. 16-year-old Daniel Robertson now.
16 forever.
Calf gains, calf gains. So Daniel, BCAs before, after the workout.
What? He just looked at me. He looked at me like, what? So after we finished the lat pull down, we went on to a compound movement. Generally speaking, I'll do one movement that's going to help me isolate the muscle, and then I'll get right into my compound movements where it's going to require the most energy, because I want to be able to get the most weight lifted in that time period where I'm not tired. And I also want to be able to do the most amount of reps so that I'm getting the most amount of muscle damage done, and then in turn that'll build more muscle after I recover the next day. So, have you ever done a barbell row before?
No.
So keep your back straight. Keep your back straight. Go down to like 45 degrees. Like lean your chest over. And then keep the bar off your legs. Let's see it work. Keep just leave your hips. Your hips are too far back. So like your knees are too bent. Keep them slightly bent, but keep the bar kind of like in front of you and pull to your belly button. So one of the first things that I cue him on is keeping his back straight, just to make sure that he's not having any arch in the lower back and putting any pressure on the lower back when we're really just trying to focus on squeezing into our lats. After that, I was just kind of talking to him about where he should be pulling to. Because we are trying to hit our lats, we want to pull to our belly button. So I told him just to make sure that he's keeping his back straight to prevent any injuries. I also told him to keep a 45-degree angle. Basically, this is going to allow us to contract our lats better, and it's just a better position to be in when you're rowing. It's a complicated movement, so. probably one of the most complex movements because there are so many different variations when you're doing it. There's underhand, there's wide grip, there's narrow. There's so many different variations, and obviously with social media and online, people are going to give you different techniques and different everything. But one thing that I would say that should stay consistent throughout all your training is that you are making sure that you're not just throwing the weight up and down, because then you're obviously going to risk injury. As long as you have a controlled movement and you're really focusing on squeezing the intended muscles. So for example, obviously this movement's working the lower lats. If you're focused on squeezing that muscle, keeping it controlled, pausing at the bottom, holding at the top with the contraction, you're really not going to risk any injury. So with this movement, make sure that you master it before moving up in weight, and that's exactly what I did. Even now, I'm not going too heavy. The max I'll go is maybe 185 to 225 max. I'm still pretty cautious with how much I'm rowing, and I'm still focused on technique whenever I'm doing it. I try not to just throw the weight. So I forgot to say, for our first exercise, we only did like 3 sets of like 15, just feeling it out. We didn't really count our reps too much because we were just focused on contractions. Our second exercise, we did around 4 sets of 12 to 15. I didn't put all the sets in here because obviously this would be way too long of a video, and it was a little bit more difficult obviously teaching Daniel because he is just learning this. So even things like firing your glutes, bracing your core while you're doing a row is obviously super important. Until you develop that connection, it's really difficult to do certain movements such as a barbell row or a deadlift or even any other compound movement like a squat. Anyways, that's pretty much the end of our barbell row. After that, we moved on to a movement that's going to hit our mid back, and it was actually a machine, like a plate loaded machine high row, which we decided to use because we're at Pure Muscle and Fitness, which has some pretty cool equipment, just different equipment that you wouldn't see in a normal gym. It actually ended up feeling pretty good. One thing was, it was a little bit difficult to keep your elbows high throughout the entire motion, which we want to do when we're doing this movement, but it was still pretty good, and I was still able to get a decent connection with my mid back and my rhomboids. So I'll run the clips of us doing our set, and then I can talk some more about technique. Do it. I'm trying to keep my elbows slightly higher, so I'm hitting my mid back. So if you watch my hands, see how my elbows are higher. So keep your shoulders back and down. So the first thing that I noticed with Daniel's technique when he was doing the exercise was he tended to shrug his shoulders. This is a pretty common issue with people who are tight and not used to doing certain movements. So he's compensating with his traps when he should be contracting his mid back. Basically, we just tried to fix this right away and just tuck his shoulders back and down, his scapula, so his shoulder blades back and down, and holding that position until you're getting the full stretch. I start by retracting my scaps back and down, and then I start my movement. I initiate my movement, and then I hold at the top. And then as I'm coming down, I want to make sure I'm protracting fully, so we're getting a full stretch in our entire back, our mid back, our rhomboids, our delts, all of this. This is definitely something that you should focus on. It's going to be more difficult to contract your mid back if your scaps aren't able to properly move. So really, this is again just teaching patterns like a scapula pattern, being able to protract properly and retract your scaps back and down. A common error is that they actually go like this and hike their shoulders rather than pulling them back and down. So I was just showing Daniel how to do that. We did again just 4 sets of 12 to 15, working in higher volume ranges for this. It may seem like a simple movement at first, but obviously when you're trying to perfect certain techniques and motions and stuff, and when you're trying to gain certain details to working certain points, like you really want to make sure that you're focusing on every single detail, from the bottom of the movement to the top of the movement to the path of the bar while you're pulling. All of this different stuff makes a difference in building a back that has every single detail. If you notice, like Breon Ainsley, he has like a crazy detailed back, and he's been working with Chris Cormier, who my brother as well is working with. These guys focus on every single little thing just to make sure that their back is fully detailed, dense, all of this different stuff. And one thing that I think a lot of people neglect is the tempo of the movement. If we're coming down at the bottom, we want to hold for a second, and then we want to explode up and contract as hard as we can. This is just getting different muscle fibers to work. When you're just starting out, it's good to control it, but as you progress along, you want to be able to contract and fire all the muscles at once more explosively. This is just going to help like build a thick, dense, round back, which obviously everybody wants if you're getting into a bodybuilding bodybuilding show, bodybuilding competition, any of this stuff, or even if you're just trying to build a good looking aesthetic back, you want to see the details, you want to see the lines, you want to see the thickness in the back so that you see the separation. So make sure that when you're doing the movement, you focus on the explosiveness and the tempo of it. So that's enough talking about the mid back row, the high row. The next exercise we decided to do was a dumbbell movement, a single arm movement. So I find I'm able to isolate better when I do single arm movements, and obviously you're less likely to compensate with one side or the other, and overall you're going to build more symmetry. How's this form better than mine in this? You just started it. I look bigger than you.
Oh, superset? Superset.
To my surprise, Daniel's technique was basically perfect here. Again, he only started with like 30 pounds or 35 pounds and just focused on squeezing his lat. Things that I would say that you should focus on: make sure that you keep your back straight the entire time, and make sure that you're pulling from your elbow. Breathing techniques are extremely important, obviously, when you're training back, because it does involve so much core and bracing. So what I like to do to make sure that I'm exploding from the bottom of the movement is breathe in all the way on the eccentric portion of the movement, and then on the concentric, which is where you're going up, I like to breathe all the way out and explode at the top and hold it for 1 second. Basically, just mastering these breathing techniques, which can take a long time, and I haven't even done it myself, will just allow you to get into a perfect motion and flow and tempo and all this stuff. And being able to breathe is so important when you're focusing on rhythm and tempo. So make sure that when you're doing it, you're conscious of your breathing techniques and your breathing patterns, because even when I was training with Daniel yesterday, he actually went lightheaded because he was holding his breath throughout the movement. Focus on keeping your back straight, driving from your elbow, and then breathing techniques for this whole thing. We like to stagger our stance. It feels more balanced, and it feels like you're able to really pull to your side more. That's something that's really like small details that's not gonna affect the motion too much, but you really just want to make sure that you're stable and balanced, and you're not gonna shift to one side or the other, and you could even twist your spine and just risk more injury. Daniel's here. Oh. So after we did the one arm rows, Daniel decided that he was a calisthenics monster and just wanted to do pull-ups and knee raises and all this stuff. But all seriousness, we moved on to a pull down, basically the same as a pullover movement that you do with the dumbbell, except we did it with a cable. Usually when I'm starting off and I'm working with someone who hasn't been working for years and years and years of training, working with machines and cables is generally more safe and more ideal for them to just feel the contraction and just learn the basics of the movement. Again, driving through your elbows, keeping your elbows in one position. In this movement, we started off with a straight bar, but I thought it would be better to shift over to a rope, just because it would kind of emphasize the driving your elbows back. With a straight bar, obviously, the bar is going to push down into your hips, so you're not able to fully drive back. So we switched over from a straight bar to a rope after one set, just because I thought it would really emphasize driving through your elbows and pulling all the way back so that you feel the full contraction. train.
Hate that exercise.
What, this exercise?
Yeah.
So he's a fan of the one-arm rows, but he's not a fan of the, we should make this a thing, like Daniel certified exercises. It's like a list.
out of 5, 3.5.
If you notice with our training, we really focus on some small minor details, but we apply it to everything. The explosive movements, the breathing techniques, the pause at the bottom, the contraction at the top, all these different things. We take it from one exercise and apply it to pretty much all of them. So after we finished doing the pull downs, we wanted to train a little bit of biceps. We didn't do too much, but I thought I might as well put the videos in here because they actually looked pretty good for both of us. We started off with dumbbell curls. All of these movements are fairly simple. You really have to focus on like 2 things for building your biceps. One thing that I would say a lot of people miss out on is fully supinating their wrists when they're at the top of the motion, because this is what's going to help contract your bicep. Obviously, if you're doing a hammer curl and you're trying to hit brachialis, it's going to be different than doing a regular dumbbell curl. But again, same things, pausing at the bottom, squeezing all the way up at the top, and turning our wrists outward as possible. For this reason, I don't really like doing easy bar. Unfortunately, like in Pure Muscle and Fitness, they only have easy bars. They didn't have set fixed barbells, so we did use easy bars. Bro, it's just me.
It's just me, 16-year-old Tristyn.
Generally, I like using a normal barbell because it allows you to fully supinate rather than kind of having like a half and half 45-degree angle. But if that's all you have, like we did, there's no issue in using it. Just use what you have, use the tools that you have, and you'll probably still be able to make just as much progress. Usually when I'm training, I don't like to do alternating curls because I feel like there's too much release of tension on one arm while you're doing the other curl, and there's too much time in between reps. But today, because I was working with Daniel, it is easier for both of us just to do one arm so that he's able to really focus on squeezing one arm at a time. Similar to the one arm rows, when you're working like unilaterally, you can focus on squeezing the one muscle rather than focusing on squeezing multiple muscles at once.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record.
So after we did dumbbell curls, we moved on to the easy bar curls, which I said I really don't prefer it compared to like barbell curls or even just normal dumbbell curls again. It was still pretty good. We only worked up to, I think, 50 pounds. We used for like 4 sets of, we worked in higher volumes again. Sometimes working heavier is good, but at the same time, you still want to make sure that you're getting enough muscle damage done by doing high volume. So today we did 4 sets of 12 to 15, just focused on contraction again. Very simple movement. I'm not going to explain too much about this one because you can apply pretty much the same techniques that you did for normal dumbbell curls to a barbell curl, which is trying to fully supinate as much as possible and really just holding, pausing at the top, pausing at the bottom, and getting a full contraction. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the workout. We didn't do too much biceps because we did do a lot of back. It had already been a pretty long time because I was teaching the techniques at the same time while training. So we only did 2 bicep exercises and I think 4 or 5 back exercises. And then after that, we just decided that we wanted to talk a little bit about kind of our background, because Daniel's known me for like the past 16 out of 16 years of my life basically. So we decided to talk a little bit about how far we've come, literally from starting off filming with an iPhone, like I said in my previous video, to now having almost 600,000 subscribers, which thank you guys for. Really just traveling the world and doing all these amazing things. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna pass it over to past me and past Daniel to talk about that. And thank you guys again for watching the video. Do you get a thumbnail face? Do you know what a thumbnail face? You know what a thumbnail face? Okay, so just be right here, and then it's just me like this, and then you're just like.
This has like only been our last like 5 videos.
Yeah, but we have someone else now.
Yeah.
Take your hat off. Stop her, see, you understand now. Did you get it?
I see it.
So we just finished up training back and biceps. We did some different movements that I was showing Daniel, just because Daniel's obviously getting into working out. I mean, he's been doing it for a little bit, but he's like, the progress he's made already is ridiculous. So we're training back's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more complex as far as techniques and stuff. So in this video we taught him a little bit about that. Still learning, obviously. I wanted to talk a bit with like someone outside of my brothers that's kind of seen my progression along the way, as far as building one, social media, but also two, like training, football, all this stuff. Because literally Daniel was the one, I think you were the one that made my first YouTube video. So this guy is an OG. He's an OG subscriber. He's been with me since before I was 16, and everybody knows that was like 7 years ago, right? Like since I was 15. Literally, he filmed my 1,000 subscriber special, which was a godly edit, if I do say so myself, you know.
Greatest video ever.
The greatest video of all time. So it's been like pretty crazy to just so far, as far as like how far we've come, I guess.
Yeah, and a short amount of time too, right? Like seeing the social media grow. Like we'd go to school and be like, dude, you have 10K, and then now it's like 100
Not
times
even that. It was like, dude, you have 1,100. Dude, you have 1,200.
Exactly, I know.
So it's
just
pretty
watching the progress, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the best.
Because it literally started in high school gym. Like
Exactly.
That's crazy.
I know.
We filmed that drone video. Daniel was in that video. That was the first video you had.
Why do we have to keep bringing this up? No, we don't have to keep bringing this up.
I keep bringing it up because we just roasted him in that. So this is my sincere apology. But I think Daniel's gonna be. What do you want? You want to be in some videos, upcoming videos? And
Yeah, why not? Why not?
he's been helping me a lot as far as editing and like content creation. Obviously, Braden behind the camera right now. He does a lot of the editing and filming as well. But it's always great to have an extra hand. So Daniel's been helping us. Daniel and I played house league. He's the one that got me into football or soccer. So that's crazy as well. Like, how old were we then? Like 11?
Dude, definitely like grade what? 7?
Grade 7 or 6. Yeah, grade 6 or 7. He got me into it. He's like, yeah, just come play house league soccer or whatever. Of course, we won because we're just the best.
2 trophies.
Yeah, 2 trophies.
2 trophies, 1 season. House league.
Gosh, it's actually crazy though, because from day one, we've literally been the ones like creating the content. Us, like me, Braden, Daniel. Like, so to see how far it's come and how far we can push it, because I think now that we have 3 people helping out, obviously Daniel's still in school, which he needs to get out of so he can come travel the world.
My bad.
So first of all, I'm doing online school, so calm down. People, oh, Tristyn doesn't go to school. All this, I'm going online school, but it's always sick because now we have 3 people and a drone, so and a gimbal.
Yeah.
Somehow we've been doing YouTube content for like 2.5 years or 2 years, right? 2 years, and Daniel has a gimbal and a drone before we do. But I don't know what.
But I still have an iPhone 5 though, so.
I think that now that we have the three of us working on the content, we can really push our content to the next level as far as editing and stuff. So we're gonna come out with some new stuff. Daniel is obviously into football as well. He's Hungarian, so he's European. He's got football in his blood. He's even wearing a Barca hat. So football content is gonna be sick as well. And then obviously some more vlogs and things like that. Just really showing like, I guess, how we interact with each other, because all of my videos have literally been me with my shirt off flexing. So
Nothing wrong with that.
made for kids, right? So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel. Follow Daniel on Instagram, because we have to get him to, what are you at now? You're so close to 2,000.
No, I am. I hit 2K.
Oh, hit 2K.
I hit 2K.
So there's no reason to follow him. Don't follow him. It's fine. And turn on post notifications, and we'll see you in the next video, I guess.